Hello everybody! Today we're going to be reviewing the Studio Series Constructicon Scrapper. So, you may be wondering how I got this guy early. I actually did get him straight from Amazon, which is pretty cool. And last I checked, he wasn't supposed to be officially released until around September. I might be wrong, I might be thinking about someone else, but I know this guy is very sought after, lots of people want him. But today, we're going to be reviewing probably my favorite Studio Series figure besides Jetfire, which will be in a future review. But anyways, here's Scrapper. And yes, I know my last review I said I would be reviewing Megatron next week, but I thought I'd like to get this out there because I know people are really looking for Scrapper and I think it'd get a lot of views. So anyways, here we have Scrapper in his robot mode. Now, he fits with all the other Constructicons. He looks really alien and scary. It's awesome. So, I think we should start with comparisons and we'll get on to the rest of the specs. Alright, so here we have my previous review, the Revenge of the Fallen Starscream, who is just slightly taller than Scrapper. Now, I may need to lift my camera up, so when I do the other comparison. So there's that. Alright, that's a bit better. And now here's my first review, the Earthrise Optimus Prime. So that's how they stack up. And then, now, let us get on to one thing I did forget in previous reviews, the articulation. So, at his shoulder, it can go out this far. It can't do a 360 because it's hindered by this pipe and this pipe thingy. So it can only do about that much. If that went there, it would be able to, but anyways. He has a double jointed elbow right here and right here. He does have a bicep swivel that can go 360 degrees, and due to transformation he does have a wrist joint, so his wrist can go up and down. On this side, he does have a claw which can open and close. He has a forearm swivel, a bicep swivel, and then everything else is the same. He does have a wrist bend like this. His head can look this far and this far, can look down a bunch, and he can also use the transformation hinge to make him look even farther down. But he can't look up, he can only look forward. That's about as far up as he can go. With his legs, they can go that far back and that far forward, so a really high kick. Oh, what the? Sorry about that. A balloon got stuck in the fan. So, yeah. Well, anyways, back to his legs. His leg can go that far forward. He does have a knee joint that can go that far, but it's not that much because his legs already are bent. He doesn't have any toe movement or foot movement. I mean, maybe you could have his foot do that or like fold it for a tilt, but I don't think that really counts. But anyways, that is the articulation. So now we will get on to our transformation. Alright, so I've made a little more room. I got my camera high up. So we're going to start with his vehicle mode, which we can then go straight to his Devastator mode. So basically, to start with his vehicle mode, we're going to take his feet, I'm going to untab them from here, extend them out, and then fold them like this. Just kind of clicks into place, and we'll create parts of the bucket. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come to the back, and we're going to unplug his shoulders with this tab in this hole, and unplug that. Then we're going to take the cab, I'm going to open that up, and then we're going to take the Devastator elbow joint and lift it up out of there. So we're going to come back to the front, take his chest and open it up, and there's this little bar here, and there's a groove. It's kind of hard to see here. There you go. There's this groove under his neck that will just clip around that. So now his head is secured into place. So now we can just plug that back in. Here, let me show you where it does. There's these two tabs and then two holes, and that will plug in like that. And then same here on the back of his neck, there's two tabs, and then there's two sorry, 2 holes here, and those will just plug together. So now we're going to work on the top. So now we're going to take his arms, we're going to fold the shoulder like this. I'm going to take the cab and lift it up, and there's a tab right here and a hole right here, and we're just going to wiggle that in there. And it's best to kind of bend it like this and then twist it in there, and that'll just plug in like that. So let's get this claw out of the way, and we're going to take this other arm and do the same thing and plug it into place. Then the 2 arms have a plug and a tab here. Put those together like that. Takes a little bit of work, but it's doable. Now what we're going to do, we're going to take his hand and bend it. You may have to bend it a certain, it takes a little work to get it bent at the right angle, or else it's not going to tab in properly. So there's going to be a hole here, and then the tab on the back of his hand, and that should plug in. You might have to fiddle around with the hand angle a little bit. And that should, yeah, it's kind of hard to do, plug in like that. So now the hands are plugged together. So then we're going to take this piece of the bucket and fold it out. So now we have a dinosaur. But now I'm going to take his ankles and his shins and pop them out. I'm going to take this wheel and fold it so we can clear it past here. I'm going to open that back up. I'm going to take his thigh swivel. Forgot to show that off. And we're going to spin that around. I'm going to take this part of the leg and fold it forward and swing this whole assembly up. And there's this tab right here on the wheel and this hole right here. And that'll tab in right there. So now that is one side of the bucket done. Now we're going to take the bucket and we're going to tab them together. Have to figure out where it goes. Yes, there. They tab together now. So let's do the other leg. I'm going to undo this. Swing this around. We're going to spin it. Bring the leg forward. Bring the whole thing up. I'm going to tab it in. Take the bucket. Plug it together. And then the last little bit is it's really hard to see. There's tabs and holes right here. We're just going to plug that in. Kind of get everything situated properly so he'll roll. And then, let me lower the camera. There we have Scrapper in his Bulldozer mode. So, here is Scrapper's Bulldozer mode. It's a very big and chunky bulldozer. It's pretty cool. The bucket can move. It just goes up and down. There's not that much to it, but it's still a cool feature. There's not much else to say about it. He does roll really well. He's got 4 wheels, and then there's fake wheels here. They don't roll. So, now let's put him in a Devastator mode. So the first thing we're going to do for Devastator mode is we're going to take the wheels, we're going to untab them, and we're going to swing the whole thing down. And there's a little, it's hard to see on my camera. This slot right here, and then that tab right there, and those are going to tab together. It's a little tricky to do. Hang on. There we go. So it'll kind of be at an angle, so you're going to want to twist the thigh joint. So there we go. Now we're going to do the same thing for the other side. We're going to swing this whole thing down. Oh yeah, I forgot. You have to unplug the bucket pieces first, or else it won't go. And then we're going to just kind of wiggle it in there. Sorry, I keep showing off camera. It's hard to do. And then we have that. So now what we're going to do is what I like to do. I like to fold these out so there's a little more stability when he's in Devastator mode. So now we're going to take these bucket pieces and we're going to spin them around. And spin this one around. And there we have Scrapper in Devastator mode. Let me lift the camera up a bit so you can see it better. Okay, so now I have Scrapper in his Devastator hand mode. And I really don't, I think it's great for what it is, but it's not really stable. So what I like to do is I like to unplug the feet joints here and make it more stable. And like I said earlier, I like to open up the claw. That makes it even more stable. So that'll help Devastator stand up better. Because once I finish Devastator, I will have him on all fours. And I'm not sure how I'm going to review him, because my review station is pretty small. I can only fit all the Voyagers and Deluxes and stuff. Don't know about a giant, like, Supreme class or Commander class size figure like him. Anyways, I'm going to put Scrapper back into his Bulldozer mode off camera and start with comparisons. Okay, so I've got Scrapper back in his Bulldozer mode. So now, let's do our comparisons once more. Here we have the Stu Series Starscream. Now, this is obviously out of scale, because there's not a bulldozer the size of an F-22 Raptor. But here's how they look together. I think they look pretty good. They look better in robot mode. Here's Optimus, the Earthrise Optimus, that is. And they're pretty cool. I think the scale actually works quite well, because bulldozers can get really, really big. And the cabs are somewhat decent sizes compared to each other. Anyways, that's it for our comparisons. So I'm thinking that will wrap up the review. So that is the end, and I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I'll see you next week with Megatron.